In February of 2013, the people of New York were horrified to discover the dismembered remains of a woman scattered in garbage bags across multiple locations in the Bronx. A dog walker was the first to find some of the remains when their dog was attracted to the scent emanating from one of the bags. On closer inspection, they discovered a dismembered human limb and immediately called the police. Before we start, I would like to ask you to please like the video and leave me a comment below about what you thought of the case. Also, please hit subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Thank you. Investigators spent the morning scouring through piles of trash in the South Bronx neighborhood after the horrifying dog walker discovery. At around 4:30 a.m., one by one, a decapitated head, right leg, torso, and hands were unearthed in the area around Eagle Avenue, 158th Street, 156th Street, and Caldwell Avenue. The dismembered body would be identified as 45-year-old Tanya Byrd, a home health aide. She had been dismembered and then stuffed inside heavy-duty garbage bags, which had then been stuffed inside duffel bags. Some of Byrd's body parts were still wearing the clothes she was in when she was slaughtered. Police confirmed that Byrd's son, Bassid McLean, reported her missing at the Bronx Faculty Precinct. He told police he hadn't been able to contact his mother for at least a day. This was very unusual as Tanya had a younger son called Nazir who had Down syndrome and was very dependent on her. McLean, who suffered from learning difficulties himself, told his aunt, Cassandra McLean, that Byrd's former boyfriend dropped by on Monday and that was the last time he saw her. He came over yesterday and walked out with her in the morning yesterday morning, he said. Cassandra believed Byrd's allegedly abusive ex-boyfriend was responsible for her horrific murder and dismemberment. I told my sister to stay away from him, but she said he's harmless and not to worry. Cassandra also said that her sister was a loving mother and very devoted to her son. That's what she lived for. That's her joy in life. Bassid McLean found a photograph of his mother on his phone, which police later matched to the decapitated head found in one of the bags. When police showed up at his house, they noticed it reeked of bleach. This is when they discovered the carving equipment and eventually found more photos on his phone. McLean posed in front of the bathroom mirror holding the bloody head of his mother like a trophy and used his phone to snap the grisly photo as a keepsake. I think what is most disturbing about this photo is that he is smirking. There were other photos of McLean and his mother's corpse. It appears that he had some kind of photo shoot. It turned out McLean had stabbed his mother in the neck, killing her before dismembering her. It is reported that he held huge resentments against his mother because he was raised in foster care whilst his mother battled drug addiction. He came back to live with her and his younger brother when he was 18. He was also suspected of abusing his younger brother, whose body began displaying bruises. He was fiercely jealous of the attention his mother gave to his younger brother. His grandfather, James McLean, said that his grandson often did destructive things such as setting fires, and they had trouble controlling him. Tanya herself was terrified of her own son. He was on probation after attacking 2 police officers with a knife back in 2010. The initial attack allegedly happened because Tanya asked her son, who was 26 at the time, to grow up and move out of the apartment and become a man. Her frustrations could be understood as the 3 of them, Bassid, Tanya, and Nazir, all shared a bedroom. McLean was also out of control by this point, and it was not good for either his mother or brother to be around. McLean dismembered her body with the assistance of another man. This second man would be identified as McLean's friend, 26-year-old William Harris. They went to a hardware store in the Bronx to purchase a power saw and rubber gloves, and they returned to the apartment to chop up Miss Byrd's body. Afterwards, attempts appear to have been made to clean bloodstains in the apartment with bleach. Surveillance video outside the flat appears to show McLean and Harris carrying numerous bags out of the building's elevator before wheeling them away in a shopping trolley. Cassandra McLean said, "My nephew is a monster. This murder was premeditated." Shortly after the grisly discovery, the victim's 23-year-old son, Bassid McLean, would be arrested and charged with the murder of his mother. Harris was also arrested on charges of unlawfully dissecting a human body and hindering prosecution. During the interrogation, they both blamed each other. McLean claimed that he left the apartment he shares with his mother at around 3 a.m. on Monday morning to withdraw cash, only to find that his friend William Harris had stabbed his mother to death in his absence. He reportedly said that Harris had threatened to kill him and his 6-year-old brother as well if he did not help dispose of the body. Harris, who had been arrested 12 times prior, claimed that McLean had already killed his mother, showed him a photograph of her body while they were on the subway, and begged for his friend's help in getting rid of the remains. It strikes me as odd that Harris would get involved in such an act if he had not participated. Maybe he was aware of the premeditation of the act. McLean confessed to the sickening crime after police found a shower curtain missing at his apartment. It was later found wrapped around his mother's body parts in one of the bags dumped on the curb for collection. He was led out of the house in handcuffs after police recovered the frightening evidence in the apartment. McLean's little brother was also present during the attack and dismemberment, but fortunately did not see any of it directly. McLean would later appear in court wearing only a garbage bag. According to his defense attorney, he had been urinating on himself and had no other clothing. He said that his client was off his medication. However, he didn't elaborate on what that medication was and that his client was going to be undergoing psychiatric evaluation. In court, McLean professed his innocence, shouting, "I didn't do anything wrong. I don't need anything at all." McLean's legal team argued that he was mentally ill and did not know what he had done was wrong, which he himself had initially argued. Holding up a photo of McLean with his mother's severed head, his legal representative, Lynn Kalavaca, asked the court during the trial, "Does this look like someone who knows what he is doing is wrong?" A tape was played in court where McLean admits to butchering his mother. He said, "If you don't have the stomach to cut them up after killing them, then you're a coward." On the day of the sentencing, some of the family members spoke. Bassid McLean's 75-year-old grandfather, James McLean, told his grandson he would forgive him for killing his mother, but he would never forget it. "I love you," his grandfather told him. "I was the one to teach you how to walk. You broke my heart." Bassid's sister, Porsche, lover told her brother, "He has destroyed her faith in humanity by taking away the one person in her life who believed in her." "Why did you take away my mommy?" she asked. "Why did you take away Nazia's mommy?" When given a chance to speak, Bassid McLean apologized for his actions, which he said have been haunting his thoughts and keeping him up at night. He also admitted that what he did to his mother was uncalled for. "Whatever sentence you'll give me doesn't matter. It was something that happened. I did it. I apologize." McLean's defense attorney, Lynn Kalavaca, argued that her client is a mentally ill man suffering from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. She stated that he had been hearing voices since he was a child and that incarceration would do nothing to help him. Cassandra McLean, Byrd's sister, said that her nephew was a danger to society and should be jailed for life. If he could do that to his own mother, imagine what he could do to a stranger. "I don't hate him, I pity him," she said. Cassandra, who is now caring for her sister's special needs younger son Nazir, said in court she never wants to see her murderous nephew again. "Today, my siblings, Nazir and I, say goodbye, knowing this will be the last time we will ever see you and the last time you will see the family who loved you unconditionally." McLean was found guilty of second-degree murder, which means it was considered an intentional killing, but not premeditated. He was sentenced to 25 years to life imprisonment. This would be enough tragedy for most families, but a year after McLean was sentenced for murdering his mother, his wife was charged with the murder of their son. Before he savagely attacked his mother, he was married to a woman called Vera McLean, who changed her name to Zara Combs after her husband's crimes had been committed. She was raising their 4-year-old son Zamer, who was just 3 months old when his dad murdered his grandmother. His aunt, Cassandra McLean, said, "A child kills his mother and then the mother kills her child. Ridiculous. What are we coming to? Ain't this crazy?" The mayor had been targeted by his mother when he accidentally dropped an egg on the floor in the kitchen. She then beat Zamer to death with a broom handle and put him in a plastic storage bin filled with water. Cassandra McLean said her nephew and Combs met in a group home and that their family was against her marrying him. "We weren't against her, we were against him," she said. "My nephew was no good. He was a bully. He didn't work. He lived off his mother. We couldn't understand what she saw in him." Cassandra also added that she had only found out about the fatal beating of the 4-year-old boy when she received a phone call about the tragedy. She said that she had only seen Zamer once when he was less than a year old. "I cried this morning," said Cassandra. "I did a lot of crying. How do you beat a child that bad? How do you beat a child to death with a broom? What made you so angry? He was 4 years old." During an interview on Rikers Island, Coombs cried while discussing her son's death. "He's gone and it's all my fault." Coombs, who was on suicide watch during the time of the interview, added, "My life is over. Nothing will ever be the same. My baby is gone." She is blaming her rage on postpartum depression and said that she can't remember hitting Zamer with the broomstick, as she claims the memory is blacked out. All she recalls is a mix of noises from inside the family's basement apartment, including the TV blaring and cries from both her 1-year-old and 1-month-old boys, she said. She said that Zamer was trying to help her make lunch as he loved food and wanted to be a chef. "He called you a meatball or a chicken nugget. That was his way of saying he loved you." After blacking out, Coombs said that she remembered the 4-year-old boy still being alive. "He was humming," Coombs remembered. "He looked at me, but he didn't say anything. I said, 'Okay, baby, let's get you a warm bath.'" She said that she apologized and told the toddler that she loved him before putting him in a storage bin for a bath. Coombs said that she fell asleep while trying to breastfeed the 1-month-old baby and was awoken by her boyfriend, 26-year-old Jamari Richardson, who came home from work to find Zamir unconscious in the bin. "He went under," Richardson said. "And I said, 'What do you mean under? There's barely any water. There's nothing to go under.'" He called 911 immediately, and paramedics found the boy unconscious, not breathing, and foaming at the mouth. But the little boy died after doctors attempted to revive him 3 times at the hospital. Of hitting the 4-year-old boy, she said, "I lost it. That was a panic attack. If I could have banged my head any harder and banged it open instead of striking Zamer, I would have done it. Now, every time I close my eyes, I see his face, hear his voice. I just talk to him all night." After her arrest, over the next several hours, Coombs' story about what happened changed several times. At first, she said that Zamer slipped on a wet towel and hit his head on the toilet when she wasn't looking. But under police interrogation, Coombs admitted to beating the boy with a broomstick after her patience wore thin while she was caring for his 2 younger siblings. When he just dropped an egg on the floor, she grabbed a broomstick and beat him until he was silent, then went back to tending to the other kids while he slumped under the water in the plastic storage bin that she had been using to bathe him. Abrasions were found on the boy's neck and bruises covered various parts of his body. Neighbors said that Coombs and her boyfriend argued a lot. In fact, police were called to the residence just the night before for a domestic dispute between Coombs and Richardson. Coombs' 3 other children, a 9-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 1-month-old, are now in the care of Child Services. This has been a very sad case. Until next time, stay sane.